Well, good morning, and we thought we would record a little vlog today about where we've been and what our plans are. But first of all, taking this one on her first recce of the Causeway Coast Half Marathon. So
yeah, not really feeling it. Not feeling the love.
it's
It's cold, it's windy, looks like it's going to rain. Typical summer's day in Ireland.
absolutely, we heard what we said last week about the weather in Ireland. It's just awesome. So yeah, we'll get her out, go for a bit of a run, try to filter out all of her moaning, which might be difficult.
There'll be nothing to watch.
Exactly. And then
Oh, sorry, didn't mean to punch you.
and then we'll come back, grab a coffee, see whether she needs fed.
I will be needed. I haven't brought anything with me food-wise, and I think we're going to do quite a long walk run, so I give it 3 miles and I'll be moaning.
3 miles, 3 metres. Right, see you on the hoof. Went the wrong way already. Actually back on the van. Right, time to hit the Causeway Coast Trail. Getting her used to trail running. Just trying out a new pair of trail shoes as well with big old lugs on them. It's Dunsevery Castle, by the way. There, where? I don't know. Well, that's us now reached the highest point on the course. Nicola's doing a little jig in front of me here and falling over, yeah. And so we've turned around and we're heading back, and that'll be a nice 6.5 mile little run. And this is her first sort of big run since post-COVID. So that's as you can see, the Causeway Coast run is beautiful. I'm not doing it, but I'm going to come out on the day and probably just run about like a madman, maybe 20 miles or so. I'm not allowed to. No. You get disqualified and sent to jail. Inches away. Sorry guys, we did this before, didn't we? How'd you find that?
Better than I thought.
Yeah, so about 6.3 miles. Plenty of hills.
Couldn't have done any more, mind you. I'm done now. But for my first, that sort of run after COVID, I'm pleased with that.
What sort of run? Technical term. Right, back at the van. Time for coffee. So before we get on to the important stuff, Nicola has a public service announcement.
Just anyone who's interested in running shoes, I'm trying out my
They're never gonna.
Caldera 6 trail shoes
So lucky I didn't kick the camera over there.
today, and they were actually really good. Couldn't feel any stones underneath, which was great. Pretty secure on the mud and grass and everything. A little bit slippery on wet rocks, so you just have to be a bit careful. But the only slightly annoying thing is the laces kept coming undone, and they were double tied. So I think I'll have to triple tie them. But yeah, anyone who's looking to get into trail shoes, these are Brooks Caldera 6, and I wear Brooks for my road running as well. They're Adrenaline GTS. Highly recommend these. Very good.
I love my Innovate rock lights, but that's a whole different story. Right, I'll pour the coffee and then we'll get back to you. Off camera, I was just sort of setting her up. I says, we're going to talk about where we've been. And she's like, where have we been? Why do I bother? Why do I bother? And she also wants another cake.
They were really good.
I've still got one.
You told me you'd eaten it.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Coffee is maturing, so I'll just do a little bit of a catch up. So where have we been, Nicola? Where have we been? Well, obviously we left you in Scotland, and if you remember back, Nicola had crazy amounts of work on, And so we came back to Ireland, and you then just proceeded to work for
To the end of the year.
to the end of the year, just doing this whole kind of crazy work stuff. So we just hung out on the Causeway Coast. Obviously did Christmas. Did we go to your mum's for Christmas?
We did.
We did. Went to
Yes.
Cambridge for Christmas. Came back over, and then we started to think, where can we go? Where can we go? And as seems to be our annual plan, we thought, west coast of Ireland. Let's go to the west. Let's do the wild Atlantic
It's
way.
every 6 months we decide to go to the
Let's
west
go to
coast.
the wild Atlantic way. And then we thought,
It's going to be too cold and wet.
and not just that, but you know, as everyone knows, here in the UK and Ireland, it's not as, even though it's more accepted to be sort of parking overnight on the west coast of Ireland, just from a facilities point of view, you know, getting water, and especially most of the campsites would be shut during the winter time. So then we thought, what about a wee bit of Europe again? And that's where we ended up.
And as we'd driven back from Spain, we'd passed through northern France and seen a lot of the World War sites for World War One and Two, and we just didn't have enough time to do it. So we started to think, maybe go back and do a bit of that, because I'm really interested in that.
In fact, I think it was the town that we were getting our COVID test done
Yeah.
that was all decked out in World War Two.
Two.
Sort of memorabilia.
It was near Pegasus Bridge.
Pegasus Bridge, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we crossed the Pegasus Bridge back there, so we thought, let's go do that.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we did. Crossed over. I think we went back down. We went back, stayed another few days with you were still working. Stayed another few days with your mum, and then got the Eurotunnel over and just started to plot our way around the Normandy coastline to begin with. And sort of the World War stuff was mostly your thing.
I started off doing the World War II stuff along that route, and there's so many different places that you can go, so many museums, the beaches, monuments, cemeteries. So if you're thinking of going, the best thing to do is just pick a few. A lot of them do sort of overlap, so you get similar information. But I think if you went to any of them, you'd find them so interesting, and certainly something everyone should do to get a really a better appreciation of what went on. I thought I sort of understood about the wars, but I didn't have a clue. And obviously you can't fully understand, but it was a real eye opener for me.
And it was a fantastic. We left mid-February, and it was a fantastic time to go. Now we did get very fortunate with the weather. We had a couple of weekends. We had a couple of weekends or a couple of days where it was very windy. And I mistakenly parked us in the windiest point in France.
Literally.
But the Urs were pretty empty. A lot of the paid Urs were actually free at that time of year.
Parking on the road doesn't get charged till April.
April, yeah.
So that was good.
And as I say, we got a lot of the sort of museums and stuff were sort of relatively empty. So
And a lot of, just check out the opening. A lot don't actually open till February.
Yeah.
So you might want to give January a miss, but definitely from February you could wander around and pretty much have the museums to yourself. It was brilliant.
And then we carried on, hugging the coastline, down into Brittany. We finished up Normandy, Brittany at Mont Saint-Michel, dropped back down into that beautiful little village of Dinan, but then carried on the Brittany coastline. And for me, being as we just did there, trail running and also a photographer, the Brittany coastline blew us away.
Yeah, beautiful.
It was, again, we got stunning weather, and it was incredible. That GR34 coastal path is just absolutely wonderful, and it really does hug the coast.
I'm sorry we haven't got any videos. I don't know if you've kind of said why we didn't make any videos.
Yeah, we didn't. Well, I made some photography vlogs, but we kind of wanted to.
We just felt like we needed, mentally we probably weren't in a great place, and we just needed time out just to go and do the sites, but just for us sort of thing. I kind of regret it a little bit now because we haven't got those memories as well.
Well, it's one of the reasons why I know there's a few people who followed my photography channel. It's one of the reasons why I've stopped making photography vlogs, is because twofold. One, I felt that filming was getting in the way of my sort of photography, and two, I'd stopped making our travel vlogs. And as we've always maintained, we make these vlogs for us, for our memories, and we've loved watching. In fact, we watched a Spanish one just yesterday. In fact, we love looking at the memories. So, but Brittany was incredible. It was just beautiful.
Just the thing on Mont Saint Michel though, a little bit disappointed. Great to go and see and look around the outside. It is pretty unique and pretty stunning, but it's just a tourist trap once you get in there. The food and the shop prices are extortionate. So if you're going to go, take your own pet lunch like we did.
Yeah, that was the one thing that disappointed me a little bit with France compared to Spain. The coffee culture, you know, I love a coffee, but it's bloody expensive in France.
Yeah.
Whereas everything in Spain is €1, and you normally get a little slice of meat with it as well. So, but it was absolutely beautiful, fantastic. And as I'm sure lots of people who've been to France in the van know, just every village has got a little lots of little sort of service areas. And in fact, we did stay at one which was chargeable. It was €10 or €8 a night or something, but it was literally right on the GR34. We had stunning weather. Fortunately, you had to work for it was over St. Patrick's Day, and it was just stunning. So the Brittany Coastline, we came all the way around down towards Nantes, where we actually visited Le Grand Elephant, which, if you look back, I'll put a link to it. There's a little sort of snippet of Le Grand Elephant.
Must do it if you go to Nantes. Absolutely brilliant. Really good.
And then from Nantes, we started to make our way up a little bit into the Loire Valley. The weather changed dramatically. We had a bit of snow, actually. And we ended up going to... Where was the park run?
Rouen.
I
don't think you say it like that.
Rouen or something. Wonderful park run. There was only about 30 people who came. I came third, which started us thinking we want to go and do a park run in Finland that we might win, but that's a whole different story. So we did the Rouen park run, and then we came up through France, and you visited a bunch of the World War One.
Yeah, Dunkirk area.
Locations
really good.
As well.
Just a quick thing on Rouen. Very nice little town, and only about 10,000 people actually live in the town, I think. Quite sort of medieval looking and really, really nice. And the park up there at the harbour, fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Really good.
Paid for a park up, but you get access to washing machines and showers, and it's walkable into Rouen itself. Really good. We stayed there for a couple of nights.
It's right by a shopping centre as well if you want to do a few bits of shopping.
And then we thought, well, we've got a little bit of time left. Why not head up into Belgium? Someone was craving some Belgian chocolates. So we ended up going up and staying just outside of Bruges, and spent a couple of days in Bruges and a day in Ghent, where we had
the best frites we've ever had in our life. We think it was just a man in a little van.
He was a magician.
Cobbled square, and I'm pretty sure the chips had been cooked in
Black
sausage
magic.
fat. Seriously, they were incredible.
I want them.
In fact, we're going to go back to Ghent
just to get
for those.
I know you say never go back, but they were
yeah.
incredible. And the most disappointing thing is, we only got one portion.
We shared them.
Idiots always get two portions.
We were both eating really, really quickly to see who could get most of the fruit.
Incredible. Nigel doesn't share food. Bruges was, as always. In fact, one of the things we did in Belgium, we went to the gate, the Ypres.
And the
Memorial Gate.
Yeah, at 8 o'clock each night they sound the last post.
Really, really good to go and see that, and they do it every night, as I say, and there's loads of crowds. And then, as I say, we spent time in Bruges, and then we made our way back to the UK, where we did a little bit of the Yorkshire coast.
Bempton Cliffs.
Bempton Cliffs, yeah, had fantastic views of gannets before the breeding season, but it was still really, really good to see.
And they had a visit in albatross.
Yes.
But it was something albatross.
A brown-browed or black-browed albatross. Yeah. And then from there, we darted up to Scotland, where we visited good friends of ours over on the Isle of Arran, and had a bit of a mitch around Arran. And then we only had about 4 or 5 days left before we had to be back in Ireland. And we thought, well, we'll just go back onto the mainland. But then I spotted a park run, and it was a park run on an island. So we went across to the Isle of Bute, and that was a little hidden gem.
Gorgeous island.
That was, again, we got really good weather. Fantastic park run, albeit a little bit hilly.
Very hilly. Worst last mile of a park run ever. Seriously.
But Bute itself, we got a little park up just down this little sort of single track dead end road, and just down the south of the island, and it was fantastic. In fact, so much so that we'll probably go back. There's no mountains, there's a very flat, not a huge amount to do sort of in the town or anything, but had a really
nice feel
vibe.
about
really
the
nice
island.
vibe to the place.
And the park runs at Mount Stewart, which is stately home type place, and well worth a visit if you're going there. Well worth a visit. Really enjoyed going in and seeing that very unique house.
So that then brought us back to Ireland at the end of May, and then in June, I'm not sure whether anyone had followed my photography channel, but I knew that we were going to be back in Ireland for the whole month of June, so I had decided to take on a running challenge, all in aid of Dementia NI, and it was to see how many miles I could run in June, and people guessed, and the closest people who got to the mileage won one of my prints, and I ended up surprising myself and doing 514 miles running in June, finishing off with a go on the Big Dipper and a portion of onion badgies. Oh, that'll sort the IT band out. That was the best part of the whole run, to be honest. Actually, no, the Greg sausage rolls came a very close second. And then just a very quick word on our Spanish trip and also the French trip. Not sure whether you know, but Nicola does some...
I do some travel writing for Campervan magazine, and we've had a couple of articles published in the past on our Scottish adventures. Yep. We've got one on Spain coming out this month, August.
It's out
yeah.
now.
It's out, yeah.
That's on the Picos de Europa.
Yeah, and we'll have our Normandy one is in the November issue, and then we have also submitted some on Brittany and the Grand Elephant.
The Grand Elephant. So hopefully they'll be out next year. Yeah. So I'll put a link below to where you can go check that out.
If you want to get a bit more information about what we did and what we saw and where to go and things like that. So you might not have the videos, but if you read the articles, it'll give you a good idea of a route you could do.
Exactly. And that brings us to now. So we are in mid-August. July, we were both completely wiped out with COVID and illness and various bits and pieces on cue. So now we're thinking to ourselves, well, what do we want to do for the next... We need to be back in Northern Ireland again middle of September for someone to run the Causeway Coast Marathon. We're also doing some dog sitting
half marathon. He's made me sound better than
marathon,
I am. Yeah.
We're also doing some dog sitting for crazy dogs. You know, it's one of those, we look after our dogs for a couple of days, no worries. 10 days and our dogs are crazy.
Apparently one of them wears diapers at night, so I didn't sign up for that.
Read the small print, Nigel, read the small print. And that actually brings us up now to the current position, and our plan is we're going to do the West Coast this time. Finally, it's been like 4 years in the making. Now, we're only going to have about 4 weeks down the West Coast, so we're not going to get a huge amount of it done, but we're probably going to head over to the Galway area and just see how far we get. As I say, we need to be back mid-September for someone to do the Causeway Coast Half Marathon, but we're finally going to get a bit of a chance to do the West Coast, and we'll be bringing you guys along. So
do a bit of training while we're away. You need to find some trail runs. So you'll hear lots of moaning from me.
Get the earplugs in.
Yeah.
And there was no sausage sandwich this morning, which I'm now regretting hugely. So,
yes.
But yeah, so that's where we've been, where we're going, and this time we'll be bringing you guys along. So, right, well, we shall skedaddle on, finish our coffee. Looks like the rain might be coming in, and then I might go get myself a Greg sausage roll. Right, guys.
See you later.
See you later. The wave.